Tuko na maadui wengi, ndugu wa Tanzania, ndugu wa Kenya. Tuko na maadui wengi. Maadui wetu sio wa Kenya. Maadui wetu sio wa Tanzania. Maadui wetu ni ukosefu wa kazi na umaskini. For decades, Tanzania and Kenya have walked side by side, a partnership forged in struggle and anchored in shared purpose. At its foundation, two towering figures of our African history, Julius Nyerere and Jomo Kenyatta. Their partnership, built on different but complementary visions, inspired a model of unity that transcended borders. Even during the struggle for independence, including the Mau Mau period, Tanzania stood with Kenya, affirming a shared belief in freedom, dignity, and self-determination. That spirit gave birth to East African Community in 1967. Though disrupted in 1997, it was rebuilt through dialogue and statesmanship, leading to its re-establishment in 1999. Today, that community stands renewed and expanded, but its foundation remains the same: a growing partnership between our nations, defined not by the absence of challenges, but by our ability to overcome them and move forward together in pursuit of shared growth and shared strength. Waheshimiwa wabunge, kuna msemo unaosema unaweza kuchagua rafiki, jirani unapatiwa na Mungu. It is this enduring foundation of shared history, shared sacrifice, and shared purpose that finds expression in the ties that bind Tanzania and Kenya today. Waheshimiwa, we share a border that stretches nearly 800 kilometers from the Indian Ocean at Lunga Lunga and Horohoro, along Kilimanjaro, across the Masai Mara and Serengeti to Lake Victoria. That boundary is not merely a line on the map. It binds our destinies as a vibrant corridor of trade, culture, and human connection, where goods, ideas, and people flow, reminding us that our progress and our setbacks are intertwined. We share a language, Kiswahili, spoken by over 100 million people across East Africa, making it one of the most widely spoken African languages and a powerful unifying force across our borders. We share communities such as the Maasai and the Kuria, whose lives straddle our boundaries, families that intermarry, traders who cross daily, and entrepreneurs whose success depends on seamless movement of goods and services. And in my delegation, I have two governors from Narok and from Kajiado who have family across the border in Tanzania. But perhaps the most powerful illustration of our unity is found in nature itself. Each year, during the Great Wildebeest Migration, millions of animals move freely between the Serengeti and Masai Mara guided not by borders, but by survival. They do not stop at borders. They simply cross and return. What nature has made seamless, policy must not make it difficult. Honorable members, it is not lost on me that we are engaged in this important conversation nearly 4 decades after the collapse of the East African community in 1997. We must reflect honestly on lessons we cannot afford to repeat. The collapse of the community in 1997 was not, at its core, a clash of ideologies. Whether capitalism in Kenya or ujamaa in Tanzania, each system sought to advance the welfare of the people. But governance, national or regional, is ultimately judged by its ability to deliver opportunity, equity, and prosperity. Where it does not, mistrust and division emerge. Our failure was not in building a shared economic vision that worked for all, and in retreating into narrow national interests instead of treating our shared resources, infrastructure, and markets as joint strategic assets for collective benefit by all our people. That was not their failure alone. It becomes our failure today if we repeat it. And so we must ask ourselves honestly, are we moving forward together, or are we risking becoming victims of the same limiting forces? Are we already repeating mistakes of the past? Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the time has come for our generation to move beyond incremental progress towards decisive integration. Because our biggest barrier is not infrastructure or policy, it is the quiet mistrust that pervades our relations. That suspicion has cost us time, opportunity, and prosperity, and we can no longer afford it. Tuko na maadui wengi, ndugu wa Tanzania, ndugu wa Kenya. Tuko na maadui wengi. Maadui wetu sio wa Kenya. Maadui wetu sio wa Tanzania. Maadui wetu ni ukosefu wa kazi na umaskini. Wacha nirudie. Ndugu wa Tanzania, Wakenya wenzangu, maadui wetu sio wa Tanzania ama wa Kenya. Maadui wetu ni kukosa ajira, umaskini na kukosa maendeleo. Kenya and Tanzania are deeply interdependent. Our bilateral trade reached approximately $860 million in 2025, and we are on course to hitting $1 billion this year, a reflection of growing opportunity. But this is only a fraction of what is possible. Investment cooperation stands as a central pillar of our bilateral relations. Kenyan enterprises have invested more than $1.7 billion in Tanzania, creating jobs, advancing skills transfer, and strengthening local capacity across key sectors, including manufacturing, energy, logistics, financial services, and agriculture. Makampuni za Kenya hapa Tanzania zimeegeza bilioni 1.7 ya Kimarekani humu Tanzania. At the same time, Tanzanian investments in Kenya, now valued at US dollars 336 million, are steadily expanding, driving employment, deepening cooperation linkages, and fostering shared growth. Makampuni za kutoka humu Tanzania wanaegeza kwetu Kenya. Kampuni ya Taifa Gas kwa mfano imeegeza kule Kenya. Kampuni ya Amsons wameegeza kule Kenya. Makampuni ya Lake Gas imeegeza kule Kenya. And these are companies that have invested in just the last 3 years. Miaka mitatu peke yake iliyopita. With recent strategic investments from Tanzanian investors in Kenya, I expect this value of investments to more than double by the end of this year. Na unajua, wakati Rostam Aziz alinitembelea na akaniuliza kwamba angependa kujenga Taifa Gas, one of the largest tank farms in Africa, in Mombasa, and he had problems. Watu walikuwa wanamzungusha. Nikawaambia Wakenya wenzetu ya kwamba mwegezaji kutoka Tanzania ni mwenzetu. Anatuletea pesa, anatuletea uwegezaji. Tunachukua muda mrefu sana kutafuta wawegezaji. Lakini kasumba ambayo imekuwa pale nyuma ni kwamba mwegezaji lazima awe mzungu, lazima awe mweupe, lazima awe foreigner. Lakini mambo sivyo tena. Tuko na kampuni 500 za Kenya zinazoegeza humu Tanzania. Nimefungua milango kwa makampuni ya Tanzania wakuje waegeze Kenya. Joint ventures and SME partnerships, particularly in agro-processing, continue to flourish, underpinned by predictable policies, ongoing regulatory harmonization, and strong investor confidence. These capital flows reflect the growing role of the private sector as the true engine of regional integration. Wakati kampuni ya Tanzania walikuja na wakanunua kampuni ya Bamburi Cement, kuna watu walilalamika kwangu, wakaniambia, mbona unaruhusu kampuni ya Tanzania kununua hii kampuni ya simiti hapa Kenya? Wale waliniuliza, niliwajibu nikawauliza pia, kampuni hii ilikuwa inamilikiwa na watu wa Ufaransa. Mbona hamkulalamika siku ile ilikuwa inamilikiwa na Wafaransa, leo inamilikiwa na Mtanzania, mnalalama? These cross-border investments are not merely flows of capital. They are powerful catalysts for expanding trade, the deepening interdependence of our manufacturing and agro-processing sectors in driving sustained demand for raw materials while spurring investment in value addition and integrated supply chains for export. With the right policy support, this momentum can significantly expand bilateral trade beyond current levels and position our two economies to capture a larger share of opportunities within the East African community and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Across the East African community, intra-regional trade stands at between 15 and 20%, meaning the vast majority of our trade still takes place outside our region. Yet, this is not a limitation. It is an opportunity. By expanding and trading more with each other, we create jobs, expand markets, strengthen industries, and build resilience across global shocks. At the heart of this opportunity are our young people. Across Kenya, Tanzania, and a wider region, millions of young men and women are entering the workforce each year with talent, ambition, and determination. What they seek is not charity, but opportunity. By deepening our integration, expanding trade, and investing in shared infrastructure, we are not only growing our economies, we are creating pathways to jobs, enterprise, and dignity for this generation of young people.